And here's the key. Sinners who go to hell never repent. They never repent. They continue to rebel. Every description of hell indicates to us that it is, listen carefully, it is not a remedial experience. It is not remedial justice. It is retributive justice. They remain God-haters forever, so that the punishment never catches up with the sin. You understand that? It's really important. In hell, they continue to hate God. In hell, they continue to curse God. In hell, they continue to mock God and blaspheme God and hate Christ. So the punishment never catches up to the sin.
Like we said early on, hell is not remedial. This is not something that's there to fix you and make you right for heaven. Not in a purgatory kind of idea. But then he says that sin continues in hell, so the punishment has to keep going. And it's interesting because that almost contradicts what he said right before that even doing one sin against an infinitely holy God will warrant you an eternity in hell. Then he sort of justifies the eternality of hell by saying, well, sin continues in hell. To be clear, right, the Bible, he's right, the Bible doesn't say that it's a remedial state for people. It's justice, it's wrath that's poured out. But that doesn't mean that people continue sinning in hell. That's not communicated anywhere that I've seen, that they continue to be God-haters on and on for eternity. God would have to give them immortality, give immortality to the unsaved, which is anti-biblical as well, for the express purpose of God-haters continuing to hate God so that he can continue to pour wrath out and torture onto them. Weird condition, right? Not reasonable and also not biblical. And it contradicts the ECT case to say that one sin makes you infinitely guilty, but you continue in sin. That's why hell keeps going, right?
Because the sinning never, ever, ever ceases. You understand that? It's really important. People don't go to hell and then never sin forever and just get punished forever. They go to hell and keep on sinning forever. So the punishment can never catch up.
Question, would God want to put a stop to his enemies and all sin and all pain and torture that's happening there? Would God want to do that? Or does he want to preserve them alive for some reason? And I used to say, when I believed exactly what he's saying, I used to say, well, that's just how people are. They're just created to be eternal creatures. Well, I had a time when I did not exist, so I'm not an eternal creature. It's possible for the universe to keep functioning without me, right? There's no logical reason that this life would have to continue on forever, right? I'm not keeping anything in existence by my existence, right? So why would God intentionally keep these creatures alive just to blaspheme his name and just to be tortured, right? It's not communicated. We already saw that the biblical case is much weaker than he's leading on for the ECT view. But now, thinking rationally, why would God do that? Why would God continue to preserve these blasphemers of his name when that's not what he did in the Old Testament, in the example passages? Let me just keep them around so that there are people that shout blasphemies against me and I can continue beating them and preserving them alive.
That is why the Bible in Mark 3 describes this as eternal sin. As eternal sin. Let me tell you something. I believe that sinners are more sinful in hell than they were on earth. Because their sin on earth is mitigated to some degree. Necessarily mitigated. Everybody can't be as wicked as he would choose to be here, because there are consequences. There are restraints. There are expectations. But in hell, there are none. Everybody is as evil as he can be.
So it's even worse than what I was saying, God doesn't just preserve them alive to continue in their sin, but actually he transitions them to another state where their sin can go on in an even more unhindered way. Why does God set up the world with these kinds of rules?